Awesome. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Coordination Advisory Committee meeting of the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, and we're meeting an hour early at 5:30. Let me call roll first, make sure I have everybody who is here. Salonia Miles, I believe you are online. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. We have, I think, just walked in, Board Member Spain just walked in, right?
All present and accounted for.
Thank you. Supervisor Bierman.
Present.
I don't think Supervisor Glass is here yet. We have Supervisor LaCroix is here. Yeah. And Councilmember Aguirre is here.
You're
Aguirre. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to get it right. And virtual is Councilmember Peterson virtual? Okay. And what about Councilmember Underhill? Okay.
She's almost due.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that.
She's having
Baby's here.
Oh, baby's
Good,
here.
good.
Congratulations. Okay, thanks for telling me. That's awesome.
I was told that. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, and Councilmember Smith might be joining us later. And Councilmember, no, it's not coming. Vice Mayor Hedrick just walked in. Thank you. And Councilmember Cummings might join us later. I don't think is here. Okay, and is Mayor Bertrand, is he online?
It's Berto, but yes, I'm online.
Sorry about that. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. All right. And tonight, the first thing is the summary notes of March 25th, 2026. We need to approve those meeting notes. Are there any changes to those notes? Does anybody have any changes? Okay, all in favor of passing those, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, those pass. Okay, first thing then is the 6-year program update, public comment results. Okay, Dr. Nam.
Thank you, Chair Colbert and members. As we have been discussing in the past several meetings, NVTA is in the middle of updating the 6-year program, fiscal year 26 to 2026 to 2031 program, incorporating the 30 and 31 projected revenues. And we started it a year back. Last year, May, we had the call for projects out, received applications. Deadline was in August. Subsequently, we went through all the evaluations. We presented you the whole process and the evaluation results at the last two meetings. And from April 2 to May 17, we had the public engagement, public comment period with the public hearing at the May authority meeting just before the business meeting. We had it in this room. So now we have the results of that public comment, which is also a part of the whole process. So we wanted to present to you that what we are hearing from the public. And at the next meeting, we will bring you the staff recommendations for funding. So there is no recommendation being discussed today.
Okay.
Next slide, please. Just a reminder, we went through this in the past meeting too. 4 major components, whether the application is eligible, and then 3 sets of quantitative analysis, which are all legally required. Then a set of qualitative considerations, which are not legally required, but we want to understand the project better, not just through those 3 measures, but a number of other factors. And then public comments, listed last, but one of the more important or one of the important factors we always consider. So that's what happens in the last April-May timeframe. Next slide. I'm not going through this. We walk through all the 27 applications we received for a total request of 1.265 billion. Next slide. A summary of them by jurisdiction and by mode. As we mentioned in couple of meetings, we received a lot more bike, pedestrian, and transit applications this time than in the previous cycles. Next slide. That was the entirety of all the results from these quantitative and qualitative analysis. Next slide. So the public engagement started in April 2nd and ran through May 17th. We published all the information we presented to you in the last cycle, the summaries, all the evaluation results, a map of all the projects where they are, a 2-page summary of each of the applications so people can read and understand what the project scope is, what's the time frame in which the project will be implemented, cost factors, all those things were published on our website. And then we did a lot of social media and news blasts to make sure public hear about it. They have an opportunity, they know about this opportunity, and then drive them all to the site where they could read this information. And there was an option for people to click on a link and it will take you to a feedback form where they could provide their comments. They could also send it by mail or email, phone call. All the options were available for people to provide the comments. On May 14th at the authority meeting, we had the public hearing where people could register beforehand or just walk in at that evening and give their testimony. Next slide. Summary of what are the comments we received. That feedback form, obviously, most people use that avenue to provide comments. 245 people commented. 20 people came in person, and some of them remotely, but came provided their testimony through the public hearing. Another 5 comments received through mail. Some of the same people who came for public hearing also provided comment through the feedback form. Or there were a couple of people who actually provided the same comment twice through the feedback form. So if you add up that first column, you will not get to 265 because we removed those duplicates to make sure we are not double counting them. So 265 unique commenters. Many of them actually commented on multiple projects. So the number of comments by project we received, 265 people providing 700 comments. Next slide. We have been tracking how many comments we receive over the past 7 cycles NVTA has funded, starting from fiscal 2014 program. This chart is kind of looking at how much the total funding request we had, how much money was allocated in each of those in the past cycles, and how many commenters were there, how many comments, individual comments we received. So we can see that in the last cycle and this cycle, we had more or less same amount of people commenting and same number of comments receiving, more or less same. The previous couple of cycles, there were some variations, really high number of comments, and especially the 2018 to 2023, which was obviously we had a lot more money to allocate. There were a lot more applications to consider. We had 62 applications in that cycle, so a lot more comments in that cycle. Next one. Screen, you may not be able to read, you have it on your printouts. These are the set of applications and how those comments we received for each of them. Total comments received, how many of them were supportive comments, how many of them opposing the project. There were some projects that are very generic. It was not saying they will support the project or oppose, but or it was a little bit vague where we couldn't really figure out what the comment was saying, but we wanted to account for that. So we have all that details here. Next slide. This the same data shown in a chart. So you can see the projects that received most comments are on the left end, least comments on the right end. CFC stands for City of Falls Church. The There were two applications from Falls Church, both of them received the most comments. Then a couple of Arlington projects and one Prince William project. Those are the top 5 projects that received the most comments. The dark shade here shows the support. The light blue shade shows the opposition, and the medium color there shows the vague or general comments. So you can see most of the projects are getting supportive comments. There were a couple of projects which had equal amount of support and opposition. Next slide. This slide shows 2 maps, one with green shades and one with the shades of red. The green shade map shows where these comments were coming from. These we collected as part of the comment process, we collected the zip codes from where people are commenting. So you can see in the first one, the green shaded one and the red shaded one, the comments are, if you look at the project's location, more or less matching where the projects are coming, the projects are in the surrounding area, people are commenting from there. And you can see a lot of applications where 13 applications out of 27 were from Arlington, 2 from Alexandria, and 2 from City of Falls Church. So you see a kind of a concentration of comments coming from that inside the Beltway area in these maps. Next one. These maps correspond to the 3 projects that got the most supportive comments, which matched with what the first 2 definitely matched with the overall chart I showed earlier. The 2 City of Falls Church projects received most support. One, the Haycock Road project receiving 70 supportive comments, and Annandale project getting 52 supportive comments. The third one is Arlington Crestis Trail project, which received 46 supporting comments, 6 opposing comments too, but mostly supporting. Next slide. These are the projects that received the most opposing comments. And the first one is the Prince William's Van Buren project, but you can see that there are 26 opposing comments, but also 24 comments that supported the project. So approximately equal amount of support and opposition to that project. One thing I want to, this we have seen in the past too, so I want to bring your attention to that. If you look at these maps, compare it with the project location. For example, the Van Buren one, project location is on the southern part of that map where you can see dark red. That is near the project location. But then there are project comments from other parts of the region also opposing that project. They're not probably people who are living there, but for other reasons, they are opposing the project. The second one is the Loudon's Route 50 North Collector project, the middle map there. You see the project is approximately in the middle of the map. There is no comments from near the project area. The comments opposing the projects are coming from faraway places. The last one, Arlington's Crestis Trail project, on the other hand, the opposing projects are coming from somewhere in the neighboring area of the project location. So when you say there are comments that are opposing the project, you have to also see what kind of comments, where are they, what kind of comments they are coming from.
Can you tell us what were all the opposition? What were some of the comments for the Van Buren Road?
Yeah, and then the Van Buren project was submitted twice before. Once authority approved the design money, they're coming back for more money for the same project. The project itself is creating almost a parallel road to 95 and Route 1. Currently, the traffic from southwestern part going to northeastern part of the county, they cut through a neighborhood there. It's Montclair neighborhood. And it's the people there obviously wanted an alternative. County has been working on this for several years, maybe decades. Monica probably was working with Prince William when they were talking about this project, but so that is the key part of the support is coming from is, yeah, this project will take away all that cut through traffic from our neighborhood it becomes safer, less pollution, all that thing they are talking about. But then it's now the new location for this project is closer to another neighborhood. It's not going through the neighborhood, but it is closer to another neighborhood, Four Seasons neighborhood. People in Four Seasons are saying that now there was no traffic in anywhere nearby. Now I'm going to see visually the traffic in near my neighborhood. So that's a kind of support and opposition we see. But as I pointed out in this, you can see there are some opposition from neighborhoods in Arlington and Alexandria too. We look through some of the comments. Some of the comments are generic about we oppose all the road projects, for example. We don't want you to do any road project. So we counted that as looked at all the road projects and said, okay, that means you are opposing these projects. So that's how some of these negative comments for that project comes out.
Okay, thank you.
That is probably more apparent on the middle map there, Loudon project, because there is no comment from anyone nearby that project area. The projects are opposed because it's a road project.
I got a question.
Yes.
What do you do about it? Because that one you were just talking about, it's, the opposition is correct.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a nightmare.
So what we have seen in the past is that there is both support and opposition to the project. What we did last time was to fund the design so that the county can then go through that process. During the design process, you have to address all the concerns. You have to have more public engagements, public hearing or open houses and things like that. So you can take into consideration those comments, their concerns, and then address it in your design. So that process is still going through. It's not over. The county is still in design process. So we are assuming that that process should take care of many of these issues. Next slide. In the first slide I showed there are 4 components. 3 of them are quantitative measures. Public comment is also a part of that 4 components. But by law, we have to give preference to CRRC, the condition reduction related to cost rating, when we look at funding. We're not getting into funding yet, but I wanted to bring to your attention that we received all these public comments. We are still going through that. And as Supervisor LaCroix asked, what does it mean? We are still looking at from our reviews and see how that can be reflected in our recommendations. But even when we reflect that, we have to still give priority to congestion reduction related to cost factor. So I wanted to bring your attention to this chart where the projects are listed in that rank. No recommendations at this point. Next slide.
May I ask a question
Yes.
on this, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Maybe you need to school me up a little bit. How do you get to, what is the data that equates to the CRRC? How do you get to a 60.5 and number? I'm trying to understand what methodology or approach goes into arriving at, what are some of the variables? Can you
Yeah.
just talk to that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, this is, I think we may have a reference slide somewhere down there,
Oh,
but I
really?
can, but no, may not be in your printout.
Oh, okay.
We went through that whole thing in the last 2
Sure.
meetings, but I can explain.
I'm
more.
sorry.
That's fine. I can explain that. So what we do is, the law says congestion reduction related to cost. We look at each project and see we have 2 sets of models. One is, model is all based on the COG TPV model, the land use projections that COG works with your team, your planning department and come up with. So we used the same model. 2045 conditions and 2030 conditions. We look at 2 years. If we look at the entire network without the project, how much congestion we are seeing in the whole network. And then we add the project into the model and run the model again to see how much congestion reduction that project brought into the network in that same conditions. We do that for both 2030 and 2045. So we have a certain amount of congestion reduction achieved by doing this project in 2030 and 2045. We use those two data points to extrapolate everything in between for every year. And then we look at, from your application, when is the project expected to be completed? That means from the next year onwards, we are going to accrue that benefit. So if it is 2032, we say 2033 to 2045, you add that calculated congestion reduction, right? So that's a total congestion reduction we are anticipating from this project. Divide that with the total project cost. The benefit is because you have the entire project implemented, so we want to see what's the cost of implementing the entire project. So total project cost is what we use for the denominator, not the request. So benefit divided by the total project cost gives us that rating.
Gotcha. I'm fine.
Okay.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
Sure.
Any other question?
Just to note, Mr. Peterson and Ms. Glass have joined virtually.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
excellent. All right, thank you.
Is there any question from the?
Not yet.
So this is where we are at this point. We did all the analysis. We got the public comments back. We are looking at that and see, based on all this technical analysis, giving priority to congestion reduction related to cost, but also considering the public comments. Staff will start developing the staff recommendations for funding, and we'll bring it back to you all at your next meeting, which is on the third Wednesday, not on the fourth Wednesday, and at 5:30. Two changes. Time is 5:30 and it's third Wednesday. So as you can see in the schedule here, we have gone through all the part except briefing you about these public comments in this meeting, and the authority at their June meeting, and then coming to you in June with the recommendations. Want to point out one of the grayed out item, that last one there, May 14th, Finance Committee said approved, it should be recommended. Finance Committee recommended the PAYGO amount, which is the amount they have come up with projecting the revenues for 30 and 31. That's the amount they think our finance team, which Finance Committee recommended to the authority for using in this cycle. So I mentioned earlier, 1.265 billion is the request. We have 775.8 million available. So that's where staff will have to go through that ranking and all the other considerations to come up with the recommendations. And as I mentioned, at your next meeting on June 17th, we will bring that recommendations to you all for your consideration. You can, after your discussion, if you think you support the staff recommendation, you recommend that, endorse that for the authority to consider. If you think that needs to be changed, there should be a valid reason, and with those reasons, we will document all that, and then that recommendation will go to the authority. Same night, the technical advisory committee will also meet, and they will also do the same process, consider the staff recommendations. If they have to make any changes, they make that, and then it goes to actually both these recommendations will first go to the planning and programming committee, which will meet the day after your meeting. PPC includes 5 of the authority members. So they will look at staff recommendation, your recommendation, recommendation from TAC, and then they come up with the final recommendation for the authority to consider. And the authority is anticipated to consider that at the July 9th meeting. Authority can still make changes if they deem to, they think there needs to be a change, and we will be documenting all those rationale for changes.
Okay, yeah, please, do you have a question?
Oh, yes.
Yes, please. Board Member.
I would like to go back to the slide where public comments and trend. We can pull this one up. All right. So I appreciate the overview of what is going on between 2018 and 2026. What I'm a bit concerned about, right, and we have what we have, is trying to understand how we, when you're trying to receive input from the public, I tell folks there's a wrong way to do the right thing. You can just put it out there and leave it up to the localities to kind of disseminate information and hopefully someone chimes in. Or you can take a more targeted approach.
Mhm.
So we have a number of projects, right?
Yeah.
Based on area populations that we know where people exist. Was there or any consideration given to targeted engagement in these particular areas where these projects are to try to drive input and not just settle with, 700 at the end of the day? I'm just curious how our approach to engaging
Now,
citizens.
in the past also, we have not gone to each jurisdiction with the pop-up events or anything like that to push for any responses from that jurisdiction or that area where the project's applications are. But as we publicize it everywhere through our social media and all the other news channels and everywhere we have any presence. We also talk to our jurisdiction member jurisdictions and applicants, provide them all the information so they can actually publicize it through their channels. Yeah, there's some question. But in this case, actually, our team went to Arlington.
I'm not just talking.
No, I'm not
Okay.
speaking Arlington, but what I'm saying is that it happened that the bike to work day fell within this time frame. So our team was in Arlington for the bike to work day and pushing it specifically in that area. So hopefully some of the Arlington residents who came through in that area saw that, and that in fact our team said there were several people who took grabbed the QR code for comment form.
So
and
Sri,
they
let me
took it.
step in. So additionally, board members may, so we have a public involvement group where we host I think quarterly,
Yeah.
do they meet? We asked all the PIOs, so that includes the localities and agencies, to help us get the word out about the public comment period for this. In addition, I have a regional jurisdiction agency and coordinating committee, that's a long name, that is comprised of staff and from the localities and agencies. We tell them, push this information out. In addition, when some localities were having, I don't want to call it town halls, but project-specific meetings.
Yeah.
And we were invited to attend, and we also tried to push the information out that way.
Yeah.
That's from the internal side. That's in addition to sharing the information on social media, having the in-person public hearing. We still have the in-person public hearing because that's a requirement by law. But what we found is, since COVID, really, people tend to submit their comments in writing compared to come in, but we pushed it on social media pages. We went through all of the PIOs. We talked to the localities and agencies, and we also attended some local jurisdiction meetings as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I saw your work. I mean, I even, as one member, I lifted it up and shared it in my social media.
We thank
network.
you.
Yeah, it's a team effort, but I think, a lot of times, right, people use this, we're going to make data-driven decisions, right? What does success look like when you communicate it, right? And how do you evaluate that? And how do you know? Because it's one thing to be in the space, right, and really talk about something. It's about given this the significance in spending here, right? I'm like, how do we know what is the good threshold of number of people to touch point? And how do we gather all that information? You know what? It's not just 700 people, to be quite honest. It's probably thousands of folks that we have really communicated with, whether you look at backside analytics on your social media platforms. There's a lot of data, I think, that you can probably put forward to just you know, the common person who's looking at this saying it's more than 700, 800 people, right? So I'll end it there. Just want to know.
No, that's helpful, because even when we do our, when you'll hear about this as we get further into the update of transaction, we always do this perception survey.
Yeah.
We put information out, but the number of responders for whatever reason, it's usually the 600-700 mark, Keith. That's who we get to respond. And sometimes we're incentivizing them for that survey, not for
Yeah.
public comment, for this, to provide responses.
Mhm.
What we found for the 6-year program, for the most part, most of the comments come from people directly impacted, but as Shri has shown, we'll get comments from people who are outside of the area. One thing we've tried to do is eliminate, like, what do we call it? Mimicking comments. Like, we used to get the same comments verbatim for hundreds of people. So we've tried to eliminate that format because we don't want just mass comments. We want to hear from people who really are in support or have concerns. I remember the last round, and we're trying to get better every round. There was a comment from someone in Vegas, and we were like, you know, because and this is why we started asking for zip codes. While we appreciate the reach,
Yeah.
what is your
Yeah.
issue with this particular project in Northern Virginia?
Yeah.
And it was a generic comment.
Thank you.
And I see that Supervisor Glass has her hand raised.
Yes, it is.
Speak.
And yes, thank you for the presentation. Could you go to the slide? I think this is kind of similar to what we've been talking about, the slide where you show Loudoun County, and I believe it was Route 15 that was, that there were comments for Route 15. I think that's what it was. Yes.
Route 50.
Oh, that's Route 50. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that those, okay, I see 5 opposing comments. And could you tell where those comments were coming from when you talked about the zip code? Was this from people that lived near the Route 50?
No, that's what the map is showing, ma'am. The project is the star and a line in the middle of the map. And then comments are coming from north of Leesburg. I think it's like one big zip code there. And there is one comment coming from there probably. And then you can see a few zip codes in Arlington, Alexandria area. So that's where the comments are coming from.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
It wasn't me, Sylvia.
But some of that, as I mentioned earlier, some of those are the comments we are talking about. Monica is mentioning about the generic comment coming out saying that I don't like any road projects. So that's the kind of comments.
Yes, Councilmember Hedrick.
I think you've talked about this a number of times before. Just wanted to circle back on it. Could you go into then how the public comment is weighted into the selection process? Specifically, are we talking about the total number of comments and or the ratio of support versus oppose? I know y'all did a lot of really good work, but 700 comments to help determine $1.25 billion of funds is, I think, just want to make sure that we're weighting the public comment correctly. I think to Board Member Spain's point, there's good ways and bad ways of going about getting public comment, and just making sure that we're not taking things that are just not that helpful.
Let me say, there is no one single evaluation criteria that determines the recommendation from staff. And even the congestion reduction relative to cost, which we are required by code to give priority to. We do give that priority to, but we have other performance measures that are also in the code that we look at. Then we add some of the qualitative information, which public comments. Public comments can be tricky because if you gather a whole bunch of people to support or oppose the project, you seemingly can tip the scales. We're aware of that as they are too. So we try to really get to what's being said and why it's being said.
Yeah.
Like, even if we had comments from 2,000 people, are they individual comments about projects, or is this, hey, I need you to come out and support this project? Everybody, really every single body commenting counts. We try to wade through that. So to answer your question, there is no single criteria that tips the scale. We look at it holistically. And this is why I said we got out of using the blast emails, and not using, but accepting that, because it was tipping the scales. And that's not helpful from an evaluation perspective. Then another reason why we look at zip codes, not that if you live outside of a zip code, your comment doesn't matter, because sometimes you're traveling to that place for work or for your errands or whatever the case may be. But it's usually the people who are in that area, in that vicinity, who are the most passionate about a project. And then they articulate the reasons why. Those comments are not the comments that are generic. I hate roads, I hate transit, or things like that. Those comments are usually the ones, I support this project because I had to sit at my light or a light for 3 to 5 cycles to get out. Or I hate this project, and I'm not going to say who or where, what area, because I bought my house and it was for the views and the wildlife. And now this project is going to come in and tear that up. Whether we try to be agnostic, but those are comments that are providing more detail, which is really helpful.
So then that is helpful. So how do you then weigh the comments?
So we give to you, we want to be transparent. Here's all the comments. Now, when we're looking at, and I don't know if you're asking if there is a percentage to public comments that we're putting a weight on or not, but we try to say, okay, we have X number of comments in support, and these supporters have detailed why, versus we have X number of comments of support and I support the project. So when we're looking at the weight, we try to narrow that down a bit, because some projects are going to score well and they receive no public comment. I don't know if there are people just not looking for the project. They are just like, oh, this project is doing well. Some projects score in the mid section and they receive a fair number of comments, and some projects score lastly. Now, while public comments are important, we look at long-term benefits too. We look at how many projects have you submitted? What's the total cost of your project? Past performance of your project, not of the project, but of the locality or agency that are requesting the funds. All of this goes into the recommendation that we take to the committees and to the Planning and Programming Committee, and what they ultimately take to the authority.
But is there a metric that you try to apply to the comments to be able to?
I think, again, you're going, what Monica was mentioning about what percentage weight you give to comments versus the other criteria. It's not, we don't go.
Well, it's qualitative. Like, it's easier to do the quantitative because we have the model, and the model is going to produce numbers. We don't want to unfairly stack the deck for or against a project when we're doing the evaluation by saying, well, this project had the most people to come out in support, so it's going to get a higher score. We don't want to do that either. This is why we take the time to try to review each comment. That isn't necessarily a weight, because again, public comments is an additional factor that goes into the overall recommendation, but there's no weighting assigned to it.
Yeah, and I would think, I mean, it is, I think, such a small number compared to how many people live in these areas, that you know, in all of our jurisdictions, we have seen similar things that I think Ms. Bachman's talking about, certainly. So, but I think it's probably, and I don't know if this is true, but if somebody makes a good comment that, oh, we didn't think about that. I'm sure most things you did think about, but you know, there could be something like, oh yeah, we should also put a sidewalk when we do this project or whatever. There could be something like that, I would think.
Absolutely. And we share the comments with the project sponsors. So you submitted your teams or your staff submitted the projects. We share that comment with the project sponsors because again, though the detailed level comments such as that usually come from people who live or work in the area. And I will tell you, out of the 20 people Shriek noted that were here and gave comment in person, 15 was from one locality for one project. So and they felt that they should come in and speak to the authority in person. But again, we share all comments.
Vice Mayor Hedrick, are you
Oh,
finished? You
Well,
have a follow-up?
I guess the alternative that I'm thinking through is, to provide obviously the comments, analysis of the comments to the committee without an impact to the recommendation from staff. If it is, at the bottom line, qualitative and something that can't be measured very easily.
It definitely can't be measured easily, but we don't want to give the appearance that you provided comments and you just provided comments. We don't want to give that either because again, we want to be transparent and show, hey, this is what residents or whomever that are commenting are saying about the proposed project. And this is actually the second bite at the apple to provide comments. All projects that we put out for public comment and are considering for the 6-year program are actually in the long-range transportation plan, where we really have a more robust public comment process, I guess longer too, if you will. So we come, and then when we do the 6-year program, we have another round of public comments. But I don't want anyone to think, well, public comments doesn't matter, they don't care, so we're going to share, but we're not going to try to consider. Because sometimes we found out, again, there were things about projects we didn't know. And once we share with project sponsors, they'd be like Mayor Cope would say, oh, yeah, that's true. Let us make some adjustments. And that has been done.
Mhm.
Some projects have been down scope. We don't allow for up scoping after the close of the public hearing, but some projects have been down scope. Or some project sponsors have said, you know what, maybe we need to only go, instead of for PE right away in construction, let's look at PE at this time. There was one particular project, I won't say any names, that we were being FOIA'd, like how did you all come to this conclusion? And we feel that our voice wasn't being heard. So the project sponsor said, hey, instead of the full amount, we all agree, do PE. So you can work with the citizens, us and everyone else to feel like we can gain that consensus. And then in the next round, you can come back for additional funding.
Thank you.
Board Member Spain, did
I-
anyone else
it-
that hadn't spoken? Okay, go ahead.
I think, when you have your quantitative analysis, right? Statistical analysis, whatever, that's what we're looking at a little bit here. But I think also what the vice mayor, and I would be very open to the kind of understanding the the qualitative kind of analysis that kind of lays out description, like what are the themes that are coming out of some of this public comment? Because I think as a person who has to vote on, right, ultimately, right, it may give me pause to try to understand more about a particular project or issue if I had something laid out in a descriptive form, right? Like, why are these 20 some odd folks from whatever, instead of just looking at a number, what are they arguing about? What are they objecting? And I think that's something I would love to kind of see.
Yeah.
In this form of, in this deliberative way of, instead of just saying, hey, yes, I approve, just some deeper analysis on my end. That's all.
And we can definitely do that. And I will say, because we require a resolution of support from the governing bodies
Right.
when you're submitting your application, sometimes the governing bodies have heard from the citizens when
Right.
you're taking
Oh, yeah.
action on their
We
resolution.
have an interest. Thank you.
So we actually are still putting together all this into a report, and then we'll also have the actual comments without any qualification from us. We will put everything together. Hopefully by next week, we will have that ready, and once it is ready, we will share it with you all.
Yeah. Key takeaways, themes based on number. I
Yeah.
mean, I would love to kind of look at that. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else and anyone online? I don't see any hands raised. Okay.
I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, great. Okay, so we have Spockman for the NVTA update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be brief. The authority's June meeting will be virtual. At that meeting, the key action item is for the authority to approve the pay-go amount. Sri noted that the authority's finance committee made a recommendation of $775.5 million.
To the last of the slide.
Whatever number that was on that slide.
775.8 million. Yeah,
That difference matters.
yeah.
That will go to the authority for their approval at the June meeting, which will be a virtual meeting. That is important because even though we have this criteria, we know where the projects rank on the quantitative side, we have the public comment. Now, once the authority approves the pay-go number, we can align that and do a full recommendation because that's the last piece. Madam Chair, that will be.
That was it. Okay, so our next meeting is June 17th,
Yes.
but it is in person. Is that
In
correct?
person at 5:30.
At 5:30, right? Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, I don't know if everybody was here, but I think Supervisor Bierman said that Councilmember Underhill had her baby.
I think so. Yes, that's what I was told.
Girl or boy?
I don't know.
You don't know more information. Okay, well,
No.
that's all right. We'll have to find out. Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Any motions? Okay. Adjourned.
Thank you.